Okay, so the AI industry is just exploding. Trillions of dollars are flooding into infrastructure, and yeah, chipmaker Nvidia is right at the heart of it all. But the question that's kind of haunting everyone is this. Are we watching a real technological revolution unfold, or is this just a massive, massive bubble that's about to pop? We're going to dive into this because Nvidia's CEO just gave an answer that pretty much flips the whole debate on its head. So when he was asked about financing the very companies that buy his chips, a practice that makes Wall Street super nervous, Nvidia's CEO, Jensen Huang, he didn't get defensive at all. He said his only regret was not investing more, not less. I mean, that's just a stunning thing to say. It seems to fly in the face of all common sense, and we really need to understand why he would say that. And look, this isn't just a CEO being bullish for the sake of it. That one single comment, it actually opens up this powerful three-part argument for why this AI buildout is fundamentally different from any tech boom we have ever seen before. Getting a handle on his thesis is, I think, the key to understanding where this whole industry could be going. So let's start with the big fear, right? The ghost of the dot-com crash. You've got analysts looking at Nvidia helping to finance startups, like Elon Musk's XAI, who then turn around and use that cash to buy Nvidia's chips. And to them, that looks dangerously familiar. The question they're asking is pretty simple. Is this demand even real? This practice is sometimes called vendor financing, or if you're a skeptic, circular financing. It's basically when you lend your customer the money they need to buy your product. To the critics, it looks a whole lot like you're just inventing your own market, and that is a classic red flag for a bubble that's just not sustainable.
And these fears aren't just vague anxieties, they are very specific. Analysts have long memories. They remember telecom giants like Lucent and Nortel absolutely crashing after building billions in infrastructure for dot-com companies that had no real revenue. They see this massive build-out happening now, and they're worried that history is just about to repeat itself.
But here's where Jensen Huang comes in and says, hold on a second, you're looking at this all wrong. He makes this really compelling case, and he breaks it down into three key pillars for why 2024 is absolutely nothing like the year 2000. So let's walk through his case, starting with just the sheer scale of the market today.
Okay, his first point is all about the foundation. Back in 2000, the entire universe of internet companies, it was worth maybe $40 billion combined. Today, this initial AI infrastructure, it's being built for the hyperscalers. We're talking Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud. These are not speculative startups. They are an established $2.5 trillion market. The foundation is just orders of magnitude bigger and a whole lot more real. Now, Huang's second point is a little more subtle, but honestly, it might be the most important one. He argues that we've just crossed this crucial economic line in the sand. For years, AI companies were basically just burning cash on every query. The tokens, the answers they generated, they were cool, but they weren't valuable enough to cover the massive computing cost. Well, that has completely flipped. According to Huang, in just the last few months, the technology has gotten so good at reasoning, at researching, at using tools, that the tokens are now profitable. AI has gone from being this economically unsustainable science experiment to a viable business, one tiny interaction at a time. So who's paying for all these profitable tokens? This brings us to the third pillar of his argument, the enterprise customer. The real engine driving this whole thing isn't just us subscribing to ChatGPT for fun. No, it's huge corporations paying for tools that deliver a clear, measurable return on their investment. And he gives a perfect example from right inside his own company. Nvidia has 40,000 engineers. He says pretty much all of them now use an AI coding assistant called Cursor, and their productivity has just skyrocketed. And when a business can see that kind of tangible gain, they're going to pay for it. That creates a stable, scalable economic foundation that goes way beyond just consumer novelty. Okay, but this is where the whole argument it goes to another level. Huang believes that even focusing on enterprise software is thinking way too small. He's proposing a fundamental reframing of what AI actually is and what market it's really going after. A common criticism you hear is that these massive investments only make sense if we get to artificial general intelligence, or AGI. An AI that can do any intellectual task a human can. But Huang directly pushes back on that idea. He argues we don't need to wait for AGI for AI to be revolutionary and wildly profitable. What he's describing here is a fundamental shift in how we even think about technology. For all of history, technology has been a tool that humans use, Excel is a tool. A web browser is a tool. But for the very first time, he says, we have technology that can use tools by itself. An AI agent can operate a browser to book your flight or use software to write its own code. This is a profound, profound difference. And this shift changes the entire economic math. The market for software tools, that's a few $1 trillion. But the market for labor, for things that can use tools to get work done, that's estimated at a staggering $100 trillion. So in Huang's view, AI isn't just another product in the software market, it is a brand new entrant into the global labor market itself. And once you start to see the world through that lens, that AI is tapping into a $100 trillion opportunity, well, Nvidia's strategy and Huang's incredible confidence, it suddenly starts to make a whole lot more sense. This is the vision they're betting trillions on.
So they're not just selling chips, they're investing across the entire stack. They see this whole thing as a system of energy, chips, models, and applications. By taking equity stakes in companies all across this ecosystem, they're not just a supplier anymore. They're gaining leveraged exposure to the entire revolution that they themselves are powering.
And this brings us right back to that shocking quote from the very beginning. His only regret isn't a boast. It's the logical conclusion of his entire thesis. Because if you truly believe you're in the early days of building the infrastructure for a $100 trillion market shift, well, then your only regret would be that you didn't bet even bigger. So, what's the verdict? Is Jensen Huang a visionary who is seeing the next industrial revolution more clearly than anybody else? Or is he a brilliant CEO who's just caught in the same bubble logic that has taken down tech giants in the past? His case is on the table now, and the only thing we know for sure is that the next few years are going to be the ultimate test.